Hello, ladies and gents. I've popped out of my little education hall to take a hot break and to ramble to you lot about Need for Speed The Run. For a game that released in 2011, you would have thought, maybe it was a good game, especially considering Need for Speed 2012 released. A year later, and the year before, they had released Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, both very beloved games of this game series. But actually, no, it's not very good. I'd also recently found out that Need for Speed The Run were released on a Nintendo Wii, and I'll put some gameplay on as I do this. It doesn't. It's. It looks fake. It looks like a knockoff game. Like, it doesn't even look like a real Need for Speed game. But anyway, back to the original on like 360 and PS3. I've been playing this recently, and it's personally been an alright experience. I mean, in terms of the other games, it's definitely not the best out there, but it's not like, okay, more. I play it. Sometimes I get really annoying moments, sometimes the physics doesn't work. It's all still made on the Frostbite engine, so I don't know what they did. It's a little bit, like, underwhelming, this game. I actually thought it would have been quite a fun idea. Where you can, hop in a car, do some, like, joyriding, basically, all across the US to get to, New York, or, like, Washington, DC, or something like that. I thought it was a really fun idea, so I bought this game on CEX. For about £4. Holy, I got scammed. Yeah, I did. I got scammed so hard for that game. Anyway, yeah, I spent £4 for a game like that. Honestly, story's kind of there. I don't know how to explain it because there is kind of a story, but you never really notice it because you're doing that much driving. And I only use it to play every once in a while. It's not even like a proper. I don't play it because it's got an interesting story. I just play it because I want to drive for a little, or like do some driving, racing, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what this counts as. Sometimes there are cool moments. Sometimes I do go, oh hey, that's a fun idea. In fact, they even had I think, I do need to find this out, but they did have quick time cutscenes, which I thought were incredible. They're never really seen as much. Like there was a bit where I got up to, you get a selection of an Aston Martin, Porsche 911, and a Lamborghini. Boom, on 360 so I can see. I don't think it's a abhorrently bad game, but it's not the greatest either. Purely because of its mostly driving mechanics. Because compare this game to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Beloved game. A lot of people like it. The driving, it just isn't there. Like, for example, with Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, you can keep your drifts going for, like, miles. I'll just show you some gameplay, like, side-by-side comparison, because really I can't really describe it. It just is better. And then, well, to be fair, EA kind of made a comeback after the run when they came around with Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. That one's a personal favorite of mine, maybe because, you know, childhood bias, but, you know. So there's that. And honestly, it's awful compared to the rest of the series, and I see why people complain about it. But if you look at it from like a new player's perspective, it's not too bad. Like for example, me, who really only played Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. I've kind of seen the bottom of the barrel, almost, mind you. Games like, games like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. People say the original Need for Speed. No, what am I saying? The original Most Wanted from 2012 was worse than the 2006 game, which I did try to buy once, but I didn't have it for the 360 in my local CEX store, so I didn't get to play it. Personally, back to the point though, I don't see Need for Speed as a bad game because I've seen what has been considered the worst of it, of the Need for Speed series. So yeah. The only real reason I find this game like entertaining in a sense is because it's kind of the same sense. If anyone's seen Smitty's new video on Skate 4, I honestly feel like that. You know how Smitty says in that video that he just wants to play a game where he can skate for 30 minutes. That's kind of the same thing for me. Like, I want a game where I can just drive for 30 minutes and not care about the story too much. Of course, there are better games for that, but I've got this accessible. I think most accessible. I don't have to worry about like doing certain races, like Forza Horizon, for example. You have to, well, it's not have to do races, but with Need for Speed The Run, it's always a race. See, I could have gone with another Need for Speed game. I think it was Pro Street. That game, I could easily like play on my 360 and still enjoy. It was it's basically same premise, but yeah, I think, well, from what I remember, the demo, it was mostly driving in a straight line, which I only played the demo. I never actually got to play any of the you know, any of the game. In fact, no, I think my mate lended the 360 game to me to play for a little, and I really enjoyed it. And that was because, well, I got to do the thing that I really enjoy in games, in racing games specifically, just drive, because it's fun. But then again, sometimes it can get boring, and you need to, you know, fill that sort of boringness with a little something fun. Like, for example, Forza Horizon, you can drive normally just fine, but if you get bored of that, you can, you know, go out and do a race instead. But with Need for Speed The Run, it's always a race, but it's always basic driving. I feel like that's why I sort of enjoy it. It's still a bad game. It's not it's not the most entertaining game in the world, but I find it entertaining because of that reason. And on top of that, there are a few flaws for definite with Need for Speed The Run. Like, for example, how you can't play online anymore. And the only reason you can't do that and this game is mostly supposed to be an online game, is because they, well, obviously discontinued the servers, discontinued support, all that sort of stuff. Completely fair, right? You can still play the game offline, but the only issue is that when you have your 360 connected to a network or anything like that has internet connection, it will constantly be trying to connect to those servers that no longer exist. So say, for example, you tried to play Need for Speed The Run, and you have your Ethernet plugged in, or you have your, Wi-Fi, whatever, router connected, router, not router, network card kicking in, whatever. If it's connected to the internet, it will constantly be trying to connect to those servers, and you cannot play the game. It says connecting to autolog servers, and you just can't do anything else. You can't cancel it, you can't do anything like that. That's just a simple bug that they never decided to fix, because I'd assume they just always expected it to be online and never bothered with a timeout function. Also, graphically with this game, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on this one, because sometimes the game looks quite good, but compare that to Hot Pursuit, it's a bit meh. And then compare that with Most Wanted 2012, which released the next year. It's awful. And on top of that, The Run is a linear experience. Sorry, I just smacked my beads on my microphone. And Most Wanted 2012 is an open world experience. That's something you can drive around in. But I think this was... Hold on, I need to double check that. Hold on. See, Criterion? Is it Criterion? Absolutely, yeah. Criterion. They had a change of developers as well. As we can see here, Need for Speed The Run, developers, EA Black Box, which is EA's own brand. Wow, what a surprise. And Firebrand Games. This seems to be a small team. And yeah, they made a few games. Most notable for the Need for Speed The Run, obviously. But they switched to Criterion for the Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. So these guys. Hold on. This game. And it's graphically a lot better. It certainly feels nicer. Driving's better. And it actually sort of pulled into the idea of Burnout Paradise, which is another classic game for the 360. Hold on, let me go find it. Here's a good game made by Criterion. Yep, there you go, Criterion Games. Published by Electronic Arts. So, yeah, EA had basically got these people to make their to make Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, and the idea of Need for Speed and the idea of Criterion and Burnout Paradise and all the Burnout games collided really well, which is why you get a really fun experience playing Most Wanted. But in The Run, it doesn't have that. Hot Pursuit kind of had the sort of similar thing as Most Wanted. Hold on, Hot Pursuit. Okay, I can't spell. Oh, it's also made by Criterion. Okay, that's probably why. Hot Pursuit had a similar style as well. So it makes me wonder, why did they suddenly change to Firebrand? But it's whatever. Basically, I think that's probably why this game fell off. It's because it was made by a different team who had some experience. Hold on, Firebrand. Let's see what their games were. Cartoon Racing, Race Driver, Ferrari Challenge, Trackmania. Trackmania, actually. See, that's another thing. If they've made a lot of these Trackmania games, that does explain why I kind of feel like the game is so... I don't know how to call it. Like, stiff. Like, when you play Need for Speed The Run, compared to, like, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Hot Pursuit feels like you are in a car that's designed for drifting. When you play The Run instead, everything feels very stiff. It feels like your drivetrain is designed for like a tank more than like an actual car. Drifting isn't fun. You've got too much traction is my issue. I'd assume they wanted to make a little bit more of a realistic, sort of Need for Speed game, but I don't think that's what Need for Speed was about. Well, they also made a few Need for Speed games in 2008 as well. That's for the DS there. Anyway, I just think that's why I've made that correlation, because if they've made Trackmania, or like made a few Trackmania games, that's probably why this game feels so like stiff to play. Just because, Trackmania is a game about keeping yourself on the road, like really, like F1 racing, pretty much. Like it's probably is like the most realistic you're gonna get. I'm not forget the video, where some guy tries to get like bots to try get infinite speed. But like, hear me out. But in that sense, it just doesn't fit with Need for Speed at all. And that's why Need for Speed The Run never really works at all. And why people didn't enjoy it. I think that's my reasoning. Another thing is, in Need for Speed The Run, is that it doesn't actually feature like licensed music, which I thought was always a thing in Need for Speed. But I'm assuming since there's a different dev team and different people working on the game, they decided maybe not a good idea putting licensed music in. For example, my video from Need for Speed Most Wanted a few years ago, I think it was a year ago, something like that now, because my capture card has broken itself to oblivion. That had copyrighted music in. I had no idea, because I thought, since the game had it already licensed, it would count, but it didn't, so what? I haven't gotten a copyright strike on it yet, though. That's kind of funny. Anyway, it does like make sense, since this game seems to be quite of a cheapish sort of like game. Like, it was made with a fairly small team, like compared to Criterion. Hold on. I've got to find the Wikipedia. See if that's been, deleted, because I'm apparently a paedophile if I do this. um, I'm in Criterion Games. There you go. Games developed. The list is a little bit longer here. Actually, to be fair, it might just be the same, but they have a little bit more experience. Since they've worked with, well, they've mostly done Need for Speed games, Burnout, these sort of, like, high action games, especially. Like Black, for example, that was an action shooter game. Although, I'm gonna be honest, it was really good. Burnout Paradise, classic, all these fun games, which they actually helped out with Star Wars Battlefront and stuff like that. And now, obviously, they're working on Battlefield 6. So yeah, they just have more experience. They've lasted like 10 years longer as well. They've been around for 10 years more than Firebrand. So there's another one. And they just have more experience with these games, where Firebrand does more the Trackmania and they do, sort of, they don't have a license to them. They just sort of make games as they're told, like published Codemasters for 2007 Race Driver. They're basically just people, like devs for hire, pretty much, for publishers. It seems. Whereas Criterion are sort of EA for the most part. Look, there you go. That whole section: Burnout 3, Burnout Legends Revenge, Black, Burnout Paradise, Hot Pursuit, Burnout Crash, Most Wanted, Rivals, Battlefront, Heat, Unbound, and 6, Battlefield 6 also, obviously, was all EA, where sometimes they did actually make some games for Ubisoft. Interesting. They've mostly stuck with the EA brand for quite a while now. Hold on, let's just double check the dates. They've been with EA since 2004, and that was even before Firebrand Games even existed or was founded. So basically, like I said, Criterion just have the better experience with Need for Speed, and they're also previous game Burnout and that sort of stuff. I just think EA sort of made a cheapish product for the Run. I have no idea why would they would do that, because I could see the Run being quite a fun game. It's just not like I can't really, like, I don't feel the Need for Speed like formula in there. That's the only issue. I think, hold on, what was the, yeah, because the older Need for Speed games either felt like too squishy, or like you just drift everywhere. I think Most Wanted 955 or something like that. No, on. There was it 911? No, it wasn't. I forgot what. On the PSP, 501. There we go. This game, I have actually no idea who made it. Let's find out. Ninth installment, released in GameCube. Yep. No, wait, no, it's Most Wanted. 510. So this game was made by Team Fusion. I've actually played this game on my PlayStation Portable. Personally, it kind of felt like a generic racing game more than Need for Speed. It still had the Need for Speed Most Wanted logo and like the number behind it. Well, not number, but you know what I mean. The whole thing behind it. But it just never felt like Need for Speed. Like when I think of a Need for Speed game, I think of Criterion because they're so like dug in with Need for Speed. And then I'll try any other products made by other companies. Say, for example, well, Firebrand with Need for Speed The Run and that sort of stuff. Then I feel like this isn't Need for Speed. This isn't right. This isn't correct. I mean, I kind of felt that with Hot Pursuit, actually. That I never felt like... It didn't feel like Need for Speed, like, properly. But... that was because they were slowly going into that sort of... time. Let me just double check that. Yeah. I think it was... It was the first, Need for Speed game they made after they were suited up with EA, and they were still getting used to that. But when Most Wanted came around, it suddenly just became an absolute smash hit. Personally. So yeah, that's everything. That's kind of my thoughts on Need for Speed The Run. I decided to do this at a time where we're all talking about Silk Song because I'm a weirdo and I like talking about games from 2010, 2011. I mean, wrong place, wrong time. So yeah, that's about it.